Right now, we got my man. I'm gonna have him introduce himself. All right. But you seen that D's youth that was in the picture, the extra chisel, like they used a something and knock it. He
Mhm.
is here. He is here, my man. We go way back. We go back.
Way,
I
way
don't
back.
even 20 plus.
Yeah,
20
man.
plus. You know what it is, my dog. Yo,
Yes,
introduce
yes.
yourself, big man.
What's
Introduce
up,
yourself.
everybody? I'm Mike, Muscle Coach Mike. I'm a personal trainer, fitness educator. I bodybuild myself. Yeah, that's me. That's my thing. Yeah, I know my homeboy Jada for a long time. Thank you guys for having me on the show, Brooklyn. Jay Wiggs, appreciate it. Thank you for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. Love what you guys are doing here, for real.
Respect,
Thank
respect.
you.
Mm,
For
So,
sure.
well, it's glad to have you on the platform. I
yes,
just want to
sir.
say, I respect what you're doing to the max because I
Yeah.
have a cousin. Well, I have an uncle. Um,
Okay.
who was actually into bodybuilding when he was like younger too, and
Yeah.
I can't remember the accolade that he had, but
Okay.
he has like a picture in his house where he won one of those Mr. something something in Canada,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
from like back then. And like as a kid I always remember like that about my uncle, and like as
Yeah.
an older guy he always maintained that fitness, and things loosen up, but you can still
Yeah.
you can look at somebody and see, you look, this guy looks like
Yeah.
he's in shape. So I just
For
want to
sure.
commend you on that, definitely.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of hard work. It's been a learning experience. It's been a long journey, a lot of ups and a lot of downs, a lot of mistake, a lot of wasted time. And when I shouldn't say wasted time, a lot of opportunities, a lot of learning opportunities, right? Yeah, but I'm here now, and that's, I guess, why I got into this. I just wanted to help people, right? I saw opportunity from everything that I learned, and I want to help people.
So definitely, so let me ask you a quick question just to get it started off, right?
Come on.
um we always hear this term, summer body. I got it.
Mhm.
March, April, May, everybody's like, yo, it's time to get that summer body. Everybody's watching whatever. So tell
Mhm.
me, what is a summer body?
Well, I'm gonna try and I'm gonna be brutally honest, and I'm also gonna be politically correct and give my opinion. Okay, so don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you my opinion. All right, it's just my opinion.
Don't worry, we won't hold you. We
Um,
won't hold you.
why? Yeah, well, I don't know who's watching. So people might catch
Yeah.
feelings. Don't shoot me. I'm not the problem here. I'm just telling you how I feel, man. To me, what a summer body is just your body that you're most comfortable in, right? It's hot outside in the summer. You want to have less comfort. You're gonna have less clothes on more than likely, and you don't want to be hiding. You want to be able to go to the beach and not feel away. Whatever that is and whatever that looks like to you. That's what a summer body is. That's the basic way of saying it, right? That's that's the most cleanest basic way that I can say it. It's
I
whatever
like I
you
like
feel
that.
comfortable with.
I like that.
Because it looks different for everybody. You know what I mean? Like if my ideal, again, if I'm speaking to the opposite sex, my ideal of the perfect summer body for a girl, I don't like super shredded abs and stuff. Like that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
I like a little bit of fluff on you. You know what I mean? For some other people, for some girls, they feel like really comfortable having like diced up this and diced up that, and that's cool. It's
yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, you know what? I would not, me personally, I would not have even come up with that definition myself. But I think you
Mm,
actually gave the perfect definition because, like you said, to everybody, it might be a little different. Now, there's some
sure.
people I know, as soon as it comes springtime, to them, when they're talking about summer body, it just simply means, I just got to lose 10 pounds and I got to start
Hmm.
eating right. It doesn't mean,
Sure.
I got to, lose 100 pounds and I got to be a
Yeah.
swimsuit model. It just means, all
Yeah.
right, summertime, start to get in shape.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, see, and that's my thing too. So all the time I have people come to me and say, okay, you know what? Like Caravana's around the way, Mike. I have to look good. And I'm like, okay, caravan is in what, like 8 weeks? I'm like, what are you trying to do in 8 weeks? What are you trying to do in 8 weeks? What are you trying to do? Right? Like, and then you when you lay out the work that needs to be done for the give them the look that they want, it's just like that to me is not really a summer body. That's you like forcing something that's not
Yeah.
it's not it doesn't seem authentic. That's not your authentic body. That's you getting ready for a specific event. That's not a summer body. You know what I mean? I think what I would hope for and what I try to teach my clients and people is like is to try to live a just a general healthy lifestyle. You shouldn't need to cut 50 pounds, 80 pounds so that you look good in the summer. You know, you just change a little here, a little bit there, and you're good, you know?
We
So
all
okay,
season body. It's called the all season body.
You
Like
see?
both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Not just summertime. You want to look
Yeah.
good all year round and feel healthy
Yeah.
all 365 days for the year. So thank you for saying
Yeah.
that. CJ
Right,
man
right,
told me
right.
it was such a thing.
so hold on, let me ask you something.
Mm.
So when you're saying a general, just live a general, have a general healthy
The
body
sequence looks great, by
lifestyle.
the way. The
Oh, you like
sequence
the
looks
sequence?
great.
Yeah, yeah, you
What's
like
Yeah.
that
that.
sequence? Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god.
So when
Yeah.
so to have that health, that generalized healthy lifestyle, what does that look like? Does that mean that hey, I can walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing? I can run down the street to catch the bus without dropping down. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What does a general healthy, lifestyle look like?
Yeah. Good question. So I think again that's gonna look different. I don't want to give you guys like garbage answers, but I'm just being honest. That looks very different for everybody. For example, I have this lady that she's been with me for 3 years. When she started, like kneeling down and standing up was a problem for her. Now she can like pick up her grandkids. She can play with her dog. Like she's not tired. That's healthy for her. You know, but then you have people that are like athletes, and if they can't run for 100 meters or run around the track once, to them that's out of shape, and rightfully so, because in their lifestyle and what they do every day, that's not their standard, and that's a floating standard, right? It's fluid, it's going to change from time to time. I think mostly, like when I say a healthy lifestyle, or what's healthy to me, is just when you look at markers like your insulin levels, like where are you in like your body fat percentage, where are you with like how well you move, are you having a lot of pains when you move, are you sleeping well, how's your stress level, how, like all of that, as Jay said earlier, like when you talk about like health, it's like or your business and stuff, like your body and your mind is part of health too, right? So that in a whole, to me, means health, right? When you're sleeping well, when you're not stressed, when you're moving around without a ton of pain, and you can do normal things and not be out of breath, you can pick up your kids, you can walk up a flight of stairs and you're like, I'm good, right? And when you look at like the markers of your body fat percentage and your insulin levels and your hormones and all of those things, that big picture is what tells me that you're healthy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Again, like you said, everybody's gonna have a different definition of what their standard of health is. So, I guess as a trainer, you get that a lot. You get a lot of different. You got to tailor your everybody's workout differently.
For
Um,
sure. even
let me.
for me even for me like, again, being a bodybuilder, like there's times I look back at pictures now, and I like, since COVID and everything, like, at one point, like I didn't have a gym to train it and everything. So like I look at myself now, and then I look at myself, while I was preparing for a show, and I remember at that, like going back at that time and be like, oh man, like nothing's happening, I'm out of shape. And now I look at those pictures, I'm like, damn, like I would be all right with that right now. So again, it changes with time.
So, okay, let me drop another question here. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get all of that fluffy stuff that you're giving us right now. All right,
Right.
which is real,
Yeah.
which is real, which is real. Drop me in there, Wigs, which is real, and I get it. But when we step out into the public, right?
Hmm.
They're people where we're visual beings, right, and creatures, right?
Right.
And people that have this summer body
Hmm.
tend to get the attention, right? So people are
Yeah.
striving for it, right? So they're looking at
Hmm.
celebrities, they're looking at socialites and different things like that, or even younger people, because even
Hmm.
that, how our body changes. I would love for you to get into that too. You know what I mean? At certain ages, the body
Yeah.
just changes, and it's hard to get it back. But so here's the question. But Wiggums, mark that one down about the changing bodies. All right. So here's where I want to go. So with what people see on social media, the Kim Kardashians and
Hmm.
whoever else they see, is that so? Does that cost a lot to look like that? So when I say cost, do you have to get the most expensive trainer in the world and maybe literally body parts, or can you actually look like that with hard work?
Okay. So that's a you. I think you tried to narrow that down, and it's still a very broad question.
Look
Okay,
at the
here.
So
comment.
first of all, Kim Kardashian, you have to have a whole heap of money for that.
Wally.
What's the
Enough money for
one
that.
money?
Okay, that's a whole bunch of money, and this is. I think this question is a very touchy question for me, and the reason why is because as like a professional and me, I'm always trying to learn. I spend a lot of money. I do a lot of reading. I download articles and like case studies and factual information. So when I give somebody something or when I say something to somebody, it is no bullshit. I don't know if we can curse on the show, but it's no garbage.
Little
And what
bit,
I
little bit.
see,
We edit
yeah.
this
So
out,
what I
man. We're good.
what I see with a lot of influencers is like, firstly, their pictures are filtered crazy. They know how to, they take a million pictures to look a certain way. They know how to contort their body, put the weight on this leg, bend the hip out this way, tilt the head back this way. And then you're like, yo, when you see them in person, you're like, you look like a sack of potatoes. That's not what you look like, right? Like, so, like, yes, if you want to look like Kim Kardashian, that's gonna cost you some money, right? And it depends on like your genetic makeup, right? Like some people they just carry fat in the right places, and some people don't. Can you get into great shape for cheap? Pretty much, yeah. I think a lot of people, that's one of the biggest myths is that it costs so much. But when you factor in how much people like how much we spend on going out and getting food, how much money we spend on liquor, how much money we spend on like clothes that don't really matter. Like your body matters a lot more than the clothes that is going on top of it. You know what I mean? So take care of that first. So when we factor in all of those things that we just spend money on, no, it's not expensive to just eat properly. It's really not.
So
You
why
know,
do you? Oh, sorry. Go
oh no,
ahead.
I just want to touch on the eating part.
Hmm.
It actually makes sense what you're saying because like over the past year, I've been doing a lot of like juicing, like with fresh fruit juices and all that, right? Now,
Hmm.
and I seen my graduation because I started off like just like buying fresh fruit juices, right? Then
Yeah.
I said to myself, you know what? Like the amount I'm spending on buying other people's juices, I might as well just go buy a
So,
juicer, right? So I started off with a centrifugal juicer, got that, started reading them, and then I'm like, why did I even spend the money on this one? I should
I
have just
forgot
waited
this.
a next month and got a masticating juicer.
Yeah.
So now I got that one. You know what I'm saving up for right now? A cold press.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
That's the
again,
ultimate.
it's worth the investment in your health.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say there's three things I say that you don't chintz out on. Don't be cheap on the food that you're putting in your body. Don't be cheap on the bed that you're gonna sleep on, and don't be cheap on the food on the shoes that are going on your feet. And when I say cheap by food, shoes that are going on your feet, me not say for buying a Jordan. I'm just saying. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, right? That like you spend a lot of time on your feet. Again, where this is about fitness, right? You spend a lot of time on your feet. That's what's grounding you to the earth, right? Everything else that's affecting your body is gonna come through your feet. Because that's
Mhm.
that's what everything is balanced on. That's what everything is being pressed on, right? So your alignment of your feet, the way they articulate, how you walk, That's going to tell you, that's going to potentially cause knee problems, hip problems, back
Never thought
problems,
about
neck
that.
problems, all of that, right? So don't cheap out on that. You spend tons of time on your bed, right? A lot of people, they can't lose weight and they're trying to figure out, oh my God, I'm eating this way, I'm eating that way, but they're not sleeping properly, right? You spend so much time on your bed. Don't cheap out on it. And then your food, same thing, right? Like that's going inside your body. If you might as well eat out of a garbage bin if you don't really business what's going on in your body, right? Go eat out the garbage bin.
The rest of go Yamota garbage bin.
That's the truth.
So when it
Yeah.
comes, so when it comes to things like that, right? People spending money X and Y and Z, whether it's to alter their bodies
Yeah.
or anything of that nature. Why do you think that people find themselves trying to achieve these goals that sometimes they can't
Yeah.
obtain
Well, like
or achieve?
so let me just say this too. I wanna make sure I clarify this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting anything done to your body. You do you. All right. I'm in no place to judge if somebody's not happy with something on their body and they want to change it. I don't have any qualms with it. I think that a lot of people are like this has become more popular now because of social media. Like we just said, social media, and it's almost like being pushed as like the norm, right? And it's really it's not the norm. And I think a lot of women, I could be wrong. I'm not a woman, obviously, but I think a lot of women feel like I have to do this to like to like meet the standard,
Yeah.
right?
To even the
And the,
playing field. To
to
even the
even the
playing
So
field.
playing field.
Yeah.
And the joke is a lot of us men are like, but we don't even really want all of that though.
Mhm.
yeah.
You know, I could be
Mhm.
So
speaking for
when
myself, but a lot of times I'm like, yeah, I like a
No, but
fat ass. I
it's
like a fat
true.
ass,
It's
but
true
I
because
don't need all that.
it's true. Just last week, I brought it up, and we were with somebody brought up stretch marks, and I was saying, and I was telling somebody, to be honest,
me,
with you,
I said be proud of your stretch
yeah,
marks.
you were saying,
Yeah,
and I was like, trust me, as guys or the guys I know, we don't mind the stretch marks. Them, you know what I mean?
you remember that Cat Williams episode. Either you was big and
Yeah,
got
that's what
small,
I
or you
said.
was
Or you
small
were
and got
small
big.
and you got big.
Either way, we still
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same
right.
thing Brooklyn
But
said last week.
it's
I
one
don't
of those
care.
things where we were also talking about, like, because we're talking about like alterations and stuff like that before we get into
Yeah,
the, like, I just need you to touch on, because there was, I know you do a lot of training with women and men, but mainly with the women when they're wearing the waist trainers. How 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 bad is that for their health? Is that something, wearing a waist trainer, is that something that can harm them? You find can harm them? Do you find that the waist trainer does help with their figure that they're trying to achieve, or
yeah.
what
So
would you say on that?
I would say, sorry, I would say that it does help. It does help, like bringing your waist, keep your waist tight. But yeah, it can be harmful because we're it's like a corset, right? Pretty much, and it's just
Hmm.
pushing all of your organs together and like compressing them. I just don't. I don't have any clinical like evidence to support that, but
Hmm.
just thinking about that logically, it just doesn't. That doesn't completely sound like it's totally healthy.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we
We
had
had a
a young
specialist.
lady that's just right that step right under a doctor, and
yeah,
so she's working on it. But she said, yeah, she just dropped it. She was like, yeah, just to let you guys know, waist trainers aren't healthy. And she said the
yeah,
exact same thing with the organs. And so
Exact
natural,
same
like,
thing.
you got to think about it, like, naturally were we created to
right,
squeeze in our our waist and our hips, and bend everything and have them touching and stuff like that. So
yeah. Like, and to add to this, like for the ladies that are getting their waist trainer or whatever, like I would say there's a way to create any illusion that you want. If you want like a certain like silhouette and to have these curves, then like build out other parts so that you can have that look. You know what I
Ah.
mean?
So
It's
all right,
it's
Can you elaborate on that a
yeah,
little
go
bit?
ahead.
so okay, so for example, let's say if your waist is a little bit like wider, right? And you want to have this like nice Coca-Cola bottle shape, right? Then that means that okay, if we can't make our waist bigger, maybe we can make maybe we can build out the side of our legs a little bit. Maybe we can build our hips out a little bit. Maybe if we build out our back, and I'm not saying that, you know, you need to have no Hulk back, but if you build widen out your back and give yourself a tapered look, now you have these wider shoulders and your waist starts to come in and look smaller. So you have an illusion that your waist is smaller.
Ladies, I hope you people, I hope the viewers are taking notes here, because you
I
guys are
am.
getting some gold right now. So
Thank you.
so Muscle
Beautiful
Coach
man.
Mike, let me ask you a quick question, because when we posted the topic, you know,
Yes, sir.
we shot out some questions, and a couple girls hit me up and they said they want to know. They said how do you ask him how I lose my stomach but not my butt?
Okay.
Now I said I don't know if he's gonna be able to give you all the tips, but I said I'm gonna ask him. I said I'll ask him.
Well, good question. This is a common one, and I'll give this away. I don't care. I give my anybody can ask me anything. I'll give away my best shit. I don't really care. You can't really do that. Just to be honest, you can't really do that.
I knew that.
You
I knew
can't
it
you
because
can't you can't spot reduce. You can't tell your body, I want to
He
lose
said
fat
stop.
on this here piece on my wrist.
Just
Right,
right.
yes, on my wrist, just this piece. I want to lose fat from here. You can't do that. Right? You don't get to decide that. You know,
yeah.
one of the most frustrating things, like competing for myself, is that I would start to get in shape, and every part of me would like be ready, but my lower back would have this little bit of fat and water there, and I would have to work so long, much longer and so much harder just to get rid of
Get
that little spot.
that last little
That
piece.
last little spot. Everywhere else is fine, but that last little spot. So again, to answer your question, you can't do that. Now, to give you the tip or the workaround with that, it's the same thing. You can create the illusion. So what you do is you build more muscle under your butt. So your butt still can look big. And even if you don't want to have a muscular butt, but even when the fat covers it, it will be bigger because there's more muscle underneath there. That makes sense?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
It definitely makes sense, because, like you said, like your body is not just, well, okay, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? It just don't work like that.
Yeah, that's what lipo is.
So
Yeah.
look, I have a question from one of the viewers.
Yes, sir.
I don't even want to ask the question, but I'm gonna put it up here.
Mhm.
We're looking to demystify a myth if it's possible, and we're
Yes.
not talking about personal information, experiences.
Yes.
But Hata Fire can't cool. She says when she sees a buff man, her notion is that their private parts have shrunken. We've all heard it. We've all heard it. We've all heard
Oh
it.
man.
So
Oh man.
is this a myth? Like, why do people say this? Like, what's the
Okay.
deal?
Okay. So the myth of that. Oh, this is an
Yo,
interesting one to
Bridget,
talk
is
about.
it a
So the myth
is it
of
a
that.
myth?
So well, okay. I'm gonna tell. I'm not gonna say it's a myth or anything. I'm gonna give you my explanation on why I think people say this. So I think this came from is the use of performance enhancement drugs. So when you use
Yeah,
performance
Anderson.
enhancement drugs, they shut down your pituitary gland. They shut down your natural producing testosterone. So this shrinks your testicles, not your dick. It shrinks your
Oh,
testicles.
oh, the
So I
ball
think
spot.
right, because if your body is getting something exogenous hormones and it's saying, well, I don't need to produce this anymore, then what your balls are like, well, I don't need to produce any more
Okay,
semen.
so
I
Mike,
don't know.
so you know what? Now that you say it, it makes sense, because if it's about the testosterone and things like that, I'm
Mm,
thinking in my head now, and I'm saying to myself, okay, that's why the female bodybuilders, they don't have estrogen and testosterone, so their visible parts are usually less noticeable than the non-bodybuilding ladies. I'm trying to be politically correct,
right, right,
Yes.
right,
so that's the
right,
same
Okay.
thing, I guess, right?
right. So again, I'm not saying it's a myth or I'm removing myself personally from this conversation, but I'm saying I think that came from using performance enhancement drugs and the testicles shrinking
Yeah.
from, again, stimulant, like the body not having the need to produce the necessary hormones to keep your testicles going. They shut down,
So
right?
if you're listening to the show, we've just given you our viewpoints opinion. We're not saying this is gold, but this is why we think that myth may have come around because
That's
of
all I'm saying.
that's all Mike says he's saying
That's all I'm
on the
saying.
matter. And with that, we're gonna go on to the next question.
All right.
All right, let me ask you something, Big Mike. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I shouldn't have said big right after that. That pause,
Pause. Pause.
Pause.
Pause.
Hold
Why
pause,
on.
pause? Pause? What do you mean?
pause, Fonda. All right. Yo. Okay. So you have people that are working out, working out, working out week after week. I know specifically with women. A lot of women, they want the results right away. Like it's because I've worked out with women, different women, and it's just like they can't, like the motivation doesn't stay because they're not seeing results as quickly as maybe us, right? We bench press a couple times and we, holy, the shirt starts lifting up and everything. So how can they, what is that about, and how could they stay motivated? What do they need to do to stay motivated to stay in the gym and get those
Okay.
results in the gym?
Good question. So let me first say it's not just women. Men do the same thing. That have the same problem with men too. May Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm
Okay.
gonna say men have the same problem too. And when you say, like, when we lift out, you might be referring to yourself. I remember back in high school, like, I remember, you
Yeah,
were
with
the
these yeah,
yeah,
with these
yeah, yeah. So it's not just women. It's I would say, to answer the question though, I would say it takes time. It does take time. Your body doesn't get there, like, overnight. You don't just wake up one morning and you're like, oh, I can't fit into nothing anymore. Um, so it takes time. What what I'm trying to find. There's a lot of ways to answer this question. It's gonna take time. So what I would do first is I'd look at, like, your nutrition first, and starting to eat more. The biggest problem that I find with people not losing weight is two things. A, they're inconsistent, or they're not eating enough food. Ironically, they're not eating enough food, and their metabolism slows down. So you want to address that first, and that means you have to start eating more. And that might mean you might even put on weight at the beginning for a little bit. And it doesn't need to be a lot of weight, but it might be a pound or two. And it takes a
So how
little
does
bit of
that
time.
work? So how does that work? You eating more, how does it
Age,
Yeah.
equate
yeah.
to you losing weight?
Right. So, like, it again, so it just means you're trying to adjust your metabolism, right? So when you don't eat a lot, your body starts to acclimate to that. And acclimate, what I mean by that is it starts to slow down because it doesn't know when you're going to feed it. So it tries to hold on to food a little bit longer, it starts to process things a little bit slower, right? And you start to have less energy. You start to not move around as much, and you may not notice it, but it does happen. So what I would say first is, like, when you're looking to lose weight, firstly, understand how much, like, where you're at right now. What does your body need to function, right? If for me, for example, I think I need like 3,700 calories. I'm almost 300 pounds now, so I take like 3,700 calories. I just need that to just function. That's what I need. If I start throwing in, like, okay, now I need to work out, I have an active job, I do cardio, yet those calories now to all need to be accounted for. So I need to start, the first thing I need to do, of, like, again, if I came to myself, I would be like, okay, this is how much you weigh, this is how much calories you should be eating. If I tell you now, or if I tell myself, oh, well, I only eat two McDonald's combos a day, it's 1,600 calories, I can't do anything with that, right? You're That's like taking, what do they say, water from a stone or blood from a stone. I can't pull any calories from that because I'm already not eating anything, pretty much. So I need to get acclimated. I need to get accustomed to eating more food so that when I start doing this work and my metabolism speeds up, I have something to take away. I have something to pull from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. It's like you're overloading a little bit because you know you're gonna burn some out before you get to where you want to be.
Right. So I have to it's like you can't drive a car on empty, right? I have to fill the tank before I drive the car,
Yeah.
right? So that's what it is. So you need to start eating more first and then start putting in the work, right? Start putting in the work, start training, start doing your cardio, and stay active. Just stay active. Now, you asked about being motivated. What I would say is there's so many different markers and so many different ways to stay motivated. And I like to use a scale, but I also know that that's not going to tell me the whole picture. And I also know that a lot of people get like they're demotivated by looking at a scale. So if you're a person that you're going to get like frustrated and lose confidence and not want to train or think that whatever you're doing is not working, then maybe you don't use a scale. Maybe you use measurement. Maybe you use like a pair of jeans that you haven't been able to fit into, and every week you try them on. You're like, oh, this week I can zip it up. Oh, this week I could get it over my leg. Oh, this week I could button it up. And that's the way that you stay motivated. Or maybe it's pictures, because again, going back to the scale, like that doesn't always tell the full story. Right. I know that I've dieted times and like I've lost weight at times, or I've gotten lean at times, I should say. And I watch the scale and nothing's changing. But I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, my body's definitely changing, but the scale has not changed. Right. And on the flip side to that, in a day, your body can go up and down 10 pounds. There's a lot of variables to it, right? So, again, if you have a stressful day, your cortisol level goes up, you hold more water, maybe you didn't use the bathroom that day. If you didn't sleep well, you ate your meals late or too early, and now all of a sudden you weigh yourself one day, then you weigh yourself the next day, and you're up 5 pounds. You're like, well, what happened? Nothing happened. You're still losing weight. It's just that you ate your food late, you didn't rest, and you're super stressed out. So that's all it is, right? So take into account like losing weight and getting in shape is a trend, right? You're not going to see consistent weight loss. Your weight's going to kind of fluctuate and trend down, right? But again, if the scale is not going to be your thing, if that's not going to keep you motivated, then use a marker that's going to keep you motivated, and use a reward system. I don't know if anybody's read the book Atomic Habits, but use a reward system that is conducive to your goal. So you could say something like, okay, if I lose weight this week, or if I lose an inch off my waist, I'm going to buy those J's that I want. Or if I am able to fit into these jeans, I'm going to, spend a little bit more money and buy these other jeans that I really want. Right. And you keep rewarding yourself with not like it wouldn't be conducive to reward yourself with I'm going to go to McDonald's and order everything off the menu, because that's not going to help with your goal. Right. So use a reward system that's going to help toward your goal.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That makes sense about the reward system. And you know what I've actually heard as well. I hear a lot of people saying they get the reward from just working out itself, and then
Yeah.
just from hearing on social media, I've heard that our body releases, like, what is it, dopamine or whatever, when you
Serotonin,
work out,
dopamine.
that
Yeah.
makes you feel good. Can you talk about that?
Well, okay. So the biggest like this has been the most like how should I say it like noticeable moment was during this pandemic. So when I started working out, this is like a long time ago. It was hard for me to relate to people that couldn't work out, because it was just one day I got up and I was like, man, I am out of shape. I can't do this anymore. And I just went to the gym and I just never stopped training since. Always training. But when this pandemic hit, I had to stop training. And I noticed that like I almost got like depressed. I got like miserable. I was really down. I started to like drink. I just kind of let myself go.
Yeah.
And as soon as I like started training again, I noticed that, well, I didn't even notice at first. I was in a better mood. And then there'd be like a week where I just wouldn't train. And then I would go back to the gym and I'd train. And immediately after, I noticed one day, I'm like, oh, I feel good again. I wonder if
You're
it's the
actually
training. It might
noticing
be,
it. Yeah, that's
yeah, it might
crazy.
be the training. It might be the training. And then every time I just noticed that every time I was feeling like, not too great, I would go to the gym, train, and immediately after I would feel good. So yeah, there are chemicals that are released when you're moving. Big movement is it makes you happy. I'll never forget. I was at this Tony Robbins seminar, and he kind of described like, if you meet somebody and you don't really, you're not really vibing this person, too like them. When you buck them, you're like, oh yeah, what's up, and you're trying to move on and keep it pushing, right? But when you link up with your friend from 15 years, 20 years, and you haven't seen them, your movements are way bigger. They're exaggerated. Yo, wagwan, blah blah blah, and there's so if you even just look at that instance, you can see that big
Yeah,
movement is tied to emotion,
that's
right?
so true.
When we're down and we're sad, we don't really move
We
big.
move we
We
move
slow
slow, we
down.
drag, we're like,
Yeah, our posture changes, our voice gets lower, we breathe different. You know what I'm saying? But when you're hyped up and you're happy, yo, you're moving. You know what I mean? You're jumping.
yeah. I
Everything's
never, I
quicker.
never, I
Everything's
never related it
exaggerated.
like that. So yeah, thank. I
Yeah,
never even thought about it like that.
yeah. So that like always stuck with me. And then again, just when I just, it was the biggest like moment for me to notice it was just like in the last like few months when we opened back up, where I started to train. I'm like, oh, every time I train, I really do feel better right after. And it's crazy because like when you're, sometimes it's the hardest thing is to just get there, right? Like just getting up out of the couch and being like, yo, man, I have to hit the gym now. You know what I'm saying? So getting up, it's not really the greatest. And then you get there and you're like, okay, you do one, two movements and you're like, okay, this is cool or whatever. Then you're into it. And then before you know it, you leave and you're like, yo, I feel bomb. Yo, I'm ready. What's up? What's good? You know
Mike,
what I'm saying?
let me say something. You're right. You see, um, when you when you're trying to, okay, so working out itself, it's a task for a lot of people, right? It's like a
Yeah.
job. It's
Yeah.
literally like a job. They just can't
Mm,
mentally get themselves there, right? And
mm,
even the changing part, going to change. By the time you put on you're ready to leave, right?
yeah.
It took the drive, the changing, all that stuff. So here's where I'm gonna go. And then on the other end, there's people that try to work out at home, and that's almost worse. That's a lot
Yeah.
worse because a lot of people can't work out at home successfully
Mm,
over consecutive days and stuff. So for
yeah.
somebody that has a problem or that mental block with getting up and working out at home or going to the gym, what are we recommending? Because they do need to get active. You talked about all these health
Yeah.
benefits and yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to give two answers to that. So active could look very different. It just means sometimes you have to move with intent. So what I mean by that is like you could just say, okay, I'm going to mow the lawn today and I'm going to rake the leaves and I'm going to do it like purposefully. I'm not just going to mosey on through this. I'm going to rake these leaves up and I'm going to time myself and try and do it as fast as I can. So it could look very different. It could mean I'm going to play around with like my kids of basketball and I'm going to push myself, or I'm going to shovel the snow. You know what I'm saying? So staying active is kind of your bread and butter, especially with losing weight. That's where most of your calories are going to be burned, not on a cardio machine. Okay, I'll tell you that from now. But in terms of your workout now, you're absolutely right. I tried it myself. It's very hard. There's too many distractions. Before you know it, you're like, oh, you know what? Well, let me just wash up these dishes. Let me just throw in a load of clothes. Oh, this show is on. And then you're distracted and 15 minutes has gone by and you're like, well, I might as well work out tomorrow because I've already messed it up. So I would say try to keep your workspace where you're going to work out different. Maybe it means going to a school around the corner. Maybe it means you go to your brethren's house, Bunford. You can tell you if it's stay at home. Go to your
Just
brethren's house
just
or whatever.
change your setting. I think that
Change your
definitely.
setting. Yeah, change your settings. Get out of wherever you are. Wherever it is that you're doing, you're comfortable in. You know what I mean? If you're always laying down in your couch, it's very hard to dissociate the activity of laying down on your couch when you're in your living room. Some people can do it, but it's hard to do that. And if it's that hard for you, and if you're finding it way too challenging, go somewhere else. Go into your basement, go to your backyard, go into the shed, go somewhere different where the space is just different. That would be my biggest, your biggest. That's going to be a big win for you. Just
So,
going somewhere different.
so let me punch in and ask you a question there. So, in terms of, since we're talking about like working out from home, if that's your setting, I've seen over the last year, a lot of these devices like the Peloton and these
Mm-hmm.
devices that are connected to your internet. You know, you hook it
Yeah.
up to your TV, your bike. What's Muscle Coach's Mike's take on that, on those type of apparatuses
Um,
or
I
workout
miss.
plans, I should say?
I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, if it gets you moving and you're doing something, it's better than nothing. You know, my the biggest pet peeve, the one thing that I'm gonna use the strong word and say hate. The one thing that I hate, I can't explain it enough. I can't express it well enough. Is just someone that just like jumps on a cardio machine. That's all they do. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it for the life of me. God, just give me the
Like,
strength to just
spend
like
20
deal
minutes
with
on the
something.
cardio today. I just bought a cardio machine. I'm gonna go for
Yeah,
20 minutes.
nah, B. That's gonna be a no for me, dog. That's gonna be a no for me. Nah, nah. Don't talk to me about just you were just on the
So
cardio
so
machine.
tell so tell us why. Is that like a the easy way out, just to act like you're getting fit, or what's the deal?
The thing about that is that cardio alone is great, like for your cardiovascular systems, but what about your muscles? Like your muscles is what moves your body, right? Let me say that again. Your muscle is what moves your body, and you're just gonna just it's great that you take care of your heart, but the muscles that you move your body, you're not going to take care of those. A lot of pain that we have as we get older and stuff that happens, it's because we're not training muscles and things are in balance and they're not working well anymore, right? They're either facilitated, what we would say facilitated, they're like bounded up, or they're just weak, right? And if they're weak, then chances are there's this guy that he's really big into like training, and his phrases things that are weak break, right? And that's the truth. Like if you're weak, you're gonna break.
It's a fair
And doing a
assessment.
hmm?
No, I said that's a fair assessment there.
Right. And if you're doing a bunch of cardio, you're gonna consider a ton. If you start doing a ton of cardio, you're going to eat away at muscle. Everybody knows this, right? There are no marathon runners that look jacked. The day I see that, I stopped training. But today, up till today, we don't know any marathon runners that are jacked, right?
So
And
true.
but they train, right? They train and they have some muscles to them, and that's cool, right? But they don't just run. They don't just run, and that's their profession anyway. It is to just run, right? So that's just my take. That's just my personal take.
Yeah, no, no,
Train.
it makes sense. You gotta like you said, you gotta be balanced, and you gotta, as well as the physical, you gotta get the mental. And I like
Yeah.
how you brought up the nutritional part. Now I know you're big into nutrition and that angle as well. I
Yeah.
want to know if you could kind of tell us some myths that people have about fitness and dieting and eating and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the most common and the biggest thing is like carbs are bad for you, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They're definitely not bad for you. Um, you need them. Your brain needs them. Your brain needs them to work. And in fact, this is like I'm gonna toot my own horn here and just say like I'm gonna drop a nugget here. If you don't have carbs, your body's going to make them anyway. Okay. And it's going to make them in a very expensive way. Okay. So I'm going to nerd out a little bit. Is that cool with y'all? Okay.
No problem,
So,
no problem.
so when you eat protein, a protein can be changed to a carb. Okay. So they're made up of the same way, except for the protein, I think, has like a nitrogen molecule on it. So if you don't have enough carbs, your body has to have them. It has to have them. So it will take protein and make a carb. So what this means is like that expensive steak that you bought or that expensive chicken parmesan or whatever that you bought, if you don't have any carbs, it's going to take that chicken and make carbs. So to me, That's like taking, $100 bills to light your house, to warm your house. Why would you want to use such an expensive carb when you could just eat some carbs and they taste good and they're delicious?
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. Like that, our
Right?
body, if we don't eat it, the body will make it anyway.
Has to,
That I didn't even know.
has
And
to.
because I got somebody in my house that said the other day, "Yo, no more carbs, no more carbs." You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell them
no.
what you said.
No, your body will create it anyway. So that's the thing. So that leads me into like the keto diet, right? So a lot of people are onto keto, and like the reason there's the reason why keto works to me, and from what I've read, the reason why and my experience, the reason why it works is just people are being much more restrictive. The same thing with intermittent fasting. You can tell me all the benefits to it, but at the end of the day, you're starting to restrict yourself, and that's often why people end up losing weight and they start choosing healthier food. That's what it normally comes down to. And again, your body's going to make those carbs anyway. So it doesn't really matter if you're not eating, you know, rice or potato, it's going to make those carbs anyway. So if you look at how a keto diet works, you can't eat a certain amount of protein on it. If you go to sites and punch in like what the keto macros are, they're going to tell you you can't eat a certain amount of protein, and that is for the reason that I just stated.
Because
Right?
if you eat
Protein is
it,
going to
your
turn
body's
into a
gonna
carb
keep
anyway,
producing it. So
Yeah.
okay,
right?
that
Oh,
makes sense. And you know what I mean? Like it's great.
does.
You don't think about it like that. So it's good that you're here
Hmm.
explaining it.
It
Right.
does make a lot of sense. So when you went, because I know a lot of people they go from, before everybody, it was a vegetarian thing,
Yeah.
then it was a keto thing, and now
Yeah.
everybody's on the
Yeah.
vegan wave. So when it comes to that, like how like is the vegan diet, how similar is the vegan and the keto, and what's the difference between them? Like,
Okay.
because a lot of people don't really know the
Okay.
difference between
Okay.
keto
There,
and vegan.
okay. So there's a lot of different ones. I don't even know all of them. There's like pescatarian where you just eat fish.
Yeah.
There's vegan where everything is plant based. Then there's vegetarian where it's just no flesh. So you can eat like eggs, cheese, et cetera, but you're not having like beef or chicken or shrimp or whatever,
Hmm.
right? And then there's keto where you can have everything, but you're not really taking in a lot of carbs. You're minimal carbs, and you're getting a lot of your calories from fats. So that's kind of how that works. What I think about vegan and like being vegan and vegetarian, I tried it. I wanted to know what it was like. I did it for a bit, and I have nothing bad to say about it. What I will say are, again, this is just kind of my thoughts. What I will say is there's a lot of research showing that meats and stuff are carcinogenic and they could be toxic and cancerous and et cetera, et cetera. So, and what, again, just from my experience and what I've seen is I've seen that people that have used like a plant-based diet normally live longer, like they're healthier in the long run.
Hmm.
But when it comes to like being an elite performer, I don't know any Michael Jordans, any LeBron James. I don't know any what's his name?
Usain Bolt, none of
Patrick
them.
Mahomes. I
You say
don't
none
know
of these
any
guys
of
are
them
vegetarian?
that are vegetarian. That's
Hey,
all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
So
yeah,
Don't,
but
they say
again,
dot. You leave the
why you
rest to us.
message me?
so
Why you message me? Don't comment, don't message me, don't come after me,
I like how
because
you left
that's
it. You just
not
no
left
my
it
no
thing.
dot.
so is that basically like when people say you are what you eat, like do
Mhm.
you find that saying to be true, or is that something that you say, you know what, no, it's not, that narrative is not correct?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think you are what you eat. Like, yeah. To answer the question, I don't think you are what you eat, but it's not that simple because it's also about what you do, right? If you like, so I don't know if you guys watch there's this podcast on YouTube called I Am Athlete, right? With Brandon Marshalls. They're all
Yeah,
NFL players,
I've
right?
seen it before too.
Yeah.
Right. So
Mhm.
Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco is always there's always this debate of like it's Chad versus science. Chad Johnson only eats McDonald's and like junk food for the most part, and he's healthy, but he is no slacker, right? He works hard every day. Every day he works extremely hard. To bring me to this point, I want to make this point is that I think a lot of people think that like you have to be super duper clean in order to lose weight, and that's not really it. It's just about being consistent, like I said, right? Consistent. And like when you do decide to be an asshole and have some junk, you don't go way off the deep end and have everything on the table. You kind of know where that line is and draw that line like, okay, I'm gonna have the milkshake and I'm gonna have the fries, but I'm not gonna have the burger. Or I'm gonna have the burger, but I'm not gonna have, the Supreme Taco Bell fry. What was it, the Taco Supreme or the
Fry
fried chicken?
supreme,
Fry
yeah.
Supreme.
Fried
Look
Supreme.
at you don't even know. You don't even
Let
know.
me get it right, my
You
friend.
see,
So
Fry
wait,
right? You just
supreme.
don't have everything on it, plus
Um,
the milkshake, plus the apple turnover. You see what
okay,
I
so
mean?
so
So
then
hold
Mike,
on.
so okay,
So
go
when
ahead,
people,
bro.
sorry, I have a quick question. So when I have like sometimes when people go in and they order like I want like two Big Macs, a large fries,
Yeah.
I want 4 apple pies, and then they turn around and they want a Diet Coke. Does that make a difference? Like,
Of
does
course
the
it
Diet
makes a
Coke
difference.
actually balance what
Of course.
all of
It
that?
makes you
I
feel
just I
good.
just need to know, because if
It
that's the
makes
case,
you
I should
feel
be.
good. It makes you
Oh,
feel like you're doing
okay.
something.
I always see those ones. Yo, Brooklyn,
You
I'm so
feel
glad
me?
you asked that. Because you're like, yo, you did not just order a Diet Coke.
I
You
And
do
then you
that.
say a
I'm not gonna
Diet
lie. I
Coke.
do it sometimes. And it's just for me to feel good about myself. I know what I'm doing is wrong. I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm doing it to feel good.
Okay, so then Mike, so then let me ask you, since we're talking about fast food and
Yeah.
and ordering the Diet Coke, right?
Yeah.
How can people knock the sugar and the fast food addiction? Because some would say it is an addiction.
It
Mm-hmm.
is. I love fast
So that
food.
and that's the thing about eating junk food. It's not okay. So there's studies that there's this guy. I don't have the information to quote and give you guys right now, but there's this study of this guy. I think he just ate like it was like either like chocolate eclairs or Twinkies or whatever, and he lost weight, but he was eating below his calorie requirement. And it's
Ah,
very hard to do that because that might be like 3 Twinkies for the day. So you can imagine, could you yam three
wow.
Twinkies in a day and be full and be okay for the day?
No.
Very hard to do that, right? So on top of it not giving you the feeling of satiation, like the feeling of being full, you get the addiction piece that you were just talking about. So you start craving more sugar. That's the problem with sugar. Sugar is not necessarily directly what makes you fat. It's the craving of more sugar and all the like other things that it changes,
we
your
gotta curb
insulin
the
level.
craving.
Yeah, the insulin level responses and all of that. That's where the problem is. It's not just the calories alone. The way that you kick that, or the best way to deal with that, is just making sure that you have good food ready, right? I think if you like, the way to not eat a ton of fast food and junk food is to be prepared for when you're hungry, so that you're not like, oh, I'm hungry, like, and you're panicked and you need something immediately. So as you're passing McDonald's, you're like, yo, let me just drive to McDonald's real quick because I'm hungry right now.
Yo, you know what? That's so crazy that you said that. Just to jump in, sorry to jump in.
Mhm.
But I've also I don't eat meat. I'm in between like vegetarian and vegan, right?
Okay.
Same thing. The hardest thing I found for myself is eating on time and on a schedule. Over the
Mhm.
last couple years, yo, Mike, I'll buy, I'll prepare like 5 different foods that I need,
Mhm.
and I'll rather have them just there when I'm ready, because I find as soon as I'm hungry, if the food's there, that's my
Yeah.
best chance of eating a full meal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm running into the kitchen getting some crackers or some bread or
Mhm.
something small. So I 100% agree, and have realized having the food ready is a great benefit.
Yeah, man,
Is
having your food ready and knowing like portions too, right? when you have your food ready and you start to realize portions, a lot of times we eat and we don't even realize like what exactly we're eating, and that's a huge problem. Again, when we look at like our panel here, we're all black people here. We're probably all from the West Indies or some type of African descent, and our dishes are just they have way too much carbs and shit in it, right? Like we know that when you go to wherever and you say give me the jerk chicken, large jerk chicken with rice and peas, how much pieces of chicken are they giving you? I'll wait for you to tell me
Because
how
Jada
much
man
pieces of chicken
counts
are
how
they
much
giving you.
chicken the
They're
people
giving
them
you
give them.
two
So tell
little
them
pinky
Jada
finger
man.
drumsticks like
Yeah,
this. Two
and
little pinky finger
And you're
drumsticks
getting
like
uh,
this.
dumpling,
Chicken.
you're getting
yeah.
banana, two festival.
You're gonna get one crate of rice, a whole crate of rice,
Wally Parais.
one little thing of coleslaw, and you're like, okay, so I'm just eating rice this meal. That's great. I'm just
And a
having
little
rice.
bit
I
of
might as well
oxtail
just consider the
gravy.
rice, right? You don't know. You say, can I have a chicken breast? Oh, we owe to that. So you're having your
The
chicken
leg.
chicken leg, which is the fattiest part, highest in calorie. This is again like where you are unprepared. If you are unprepared you are unprepared and you don't know the portions that you have. Once you start preparing meals, you start to be like, oh, like this is actually a normal portion. The whole crate of rice that they give me is not normal. That's not what I'm supposed to eat. But because it's in front of you
You feel
and
like
that's
you
how
have
it's
to
given
eat
to you,
it.
you're like, well, you just eat until like it's finished, right? I
Yeah,
tell like clients sometimes to even like try putting your food on a smaller plate. Try putting
Oh,
Yeah,
your
I've
food
that
on
heard
a
helps.
that.
smaller plate,
I've heard that as
That
actually
helps.
right?
a tip from a lot of people. Use smaller plates, and
Yeah.
that'll
That
help you.
helps. That
Use
really
yeah,
smaller
helps.
plates. When you go to the kitchen, even if you're gonna eat some chips, don't eat out of the bag. Take the chips out, put it on a plate, and leave. So now, even if you get the temptation of like, I want some more chips, it's like it's an effort. Now you have to get up, go back to the kitchen, open
Yeah,
up the cover, pull back out chips, blah blah blah. So now you're making it. This is like again when we're talking about reward system, is like this is the opposite side to that now, is like making it challenging
making a
for
little
you to
harder.
do the
Yeah,
thing that you're not supposed to do, right?
yeah.
So
So
how
let me hold on one sec, Brooke. Let me ask this. Okay, so let me go back to what you're talking about with the you didn't see Michael and LeBron as no vegetarian or anything like that.
Hmm.
With that, I would say yes, they probably weren't, because of the Western civilization as far as when the vegan piece and the whole vegetarian thing sort of became mainstream, right? Like you didn't
Hmm.
really hear of it. You heard of the ital with the natis, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you, you yeah you seldomly heard somebody was vegetarian. Vegan came about, I've heard, in the last, I guess, 10 years or whatnot, or maybe earlier than or later than that. So
It's become
where,
a
where
lot
I'm
more mainstream now.
exactly, so where I'm
You're saying.
going is, I think, yeah, on the other side of the world, there's a lot of people that eat cleaner, because I see it with the different ethnicities and how they do their thing, and yeah, especially with the Asian community. I mean, they eat certain things too, but I know there's, um, they divulge a lot in teas and herbs and certain things like that, and you see the long life. Speaking to what you're talking about with longevity with life, so the next piece is in connection to what you're eating. Earlier I said, as you get older, as you age, the body changes. It's something
Hmm.
that I don't have scientific knowledge on, but I've
Hmm.
seen it.
Hmm.
I live by experience. So I've seen it with myself, I've seen it with others, and it seems like they're unable to get rid of some of that weight that they've put on. So tell us a bit about that transitional period for some people that are listening, because they may feel, I want to get back to when I was 22. Some
Hmm.
people can do it and some people can't or are unable to. What's the deal with that?
Okay, so um, I'm just gonna speak here. If I don't answer the question or if I miss anything, just let me know. Um, a few weeks ago, I saw somebody, a person that I was training. She was jogging down the road, and I was like, you gotta. So I kind of give her. I coach her and I instructed her. I'm like, you gotta work fast. You gotta move fast. You gotta jog faster. And she's like, I can't remember. She's like, I'm 54. And I'm like, and you're going to stay looking like 54 if you move like you're 54. Right. So what I'm saying, like the reason why I'm saying that is because as you age, yes, your body changes. But if you want to feel younger, if you want to move like you're younger, that intent has to be there to move that way. You can't move slow and broken and expect to get better, right? There has to be an intent. You have to start pushing that envelope to get there. Um, I think a lot of things that I think that one of the biggest things that happen as we age, though, is that um, just talking about nutrition, is that we tend to eat like how we've always ate before, and that doesn't really change much. For some people that does, but most of the time people just kind of continue eating the way that they always eat. But again, if you're not moving like how you used to move before, then you can't eat the way that you are eating, the way that you used to eat, right? So like if you worked at a factory job and you were go 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 all the time, but now that you're retired, you sit at home and you watch whatever Netflix or whatever it is that you do. You play around a golf, or sit down in the back and drink your beer. Then yeah, you can't eat the same because now your calorie expenditure isn't the same. You're not burning the same amount of calories. You're not moving the same, right? So I don't know if that answers the question, but the biggest, again, just to reiterate, the biggest thing is like you have to move like how you want to move. You have to push for that to happen, and the eating has to match that.
So when you're saying the eating has to match that. So when you are training, you're doing your personal training or you're doing like group sessions and things of that nature. I know
Mhm.
sometimes people come to you with meal plans.
Mhm.
How do you if myself and Wiggs and Jada Man was to come, how would you give us how do you set out your meal plans? Is it based on what we want our body types to look like? Is it more based on our health? Is it more based on what do you base everybody's meal plan
Yeah,
on?
so it's a little bit of all of that. So what I do first is I find out, like I said, what we talked about earlier. I need to know how you're eating now, right? If you, for example, like let's say we're talking about Wiggs is eating 6,000 calories right now, then I'm not gonna say, hey, like we got to go to 4,000 calories, and he wants to gain weight. His metabolism is running so fast at 6,000 calories. He needs more food. I need to find him a way to get him more food. Right. On the flip side, if he's like Mike, like I need to lose weight, but he's only eating, one burger a day, that's not going to make it. I have to give you more food, right? So when people come to me, I have to find out first, how are you eating right now? Forget the goal. We have to make you healthy now. We have to like normalize stuff. Whether you want to gain weight, whether you want to lose weight, we have to get you meeting
Get
at
you
least the
balance. Yeah.
threshold. We have to get you. This is where you're supposed to be, right? So you have to be at least here or above. Then we look at like, okay, where do you want to go now? What do you want to do? Do you want to get lean? Do you want to get ripped? Do you want to get super jacked? Do you want to just add a little bump and get fat a little bit? I don't know, right? That's when we figure that out. And as we're figuring that out, and as I'm learning your body, then that's where like supplements and vitamins come in. Now I can say, oh, like you're really, really tired, and like I noticed this about your skin. Okay, maybe we need some vitamin D. Maybe like we need to like reset your insulin, or try to like tackle your insulin levels, or whatever, right? We start looking at like, okay, where are the missing pieces based on like how you're working out, how you're functioning, how you're sleeping, how you're reacting, how you're recovering, how you're eating going, right? Maybe we need to give you a probiotic. Maybe you're great. Maybe you're going to the bathroom all the time. That's but we have it's a step process, right? I can't just off the bat say, okay, we're going to give you all of this and I don't know anything about you, right? I'm just trying to get you to normal first,
Yeah.
Mhm.
then go from there.
Yeah. That
Okay,
definitely makes sense.
that makes sense. I always wonder that because when I'm not gonna lie, when Super K,
Mhm.
I know a lot of you guys know who Super K is. Like Super K, when he worked with me before, me and one of my friends before, and he kicked us out and told us
Mhm.
not to come back because it was one of those things where it wasn't no bad thing. It was just that
Yeah,
with me, it's like I'm a dancer, right? So it's just
yeah,
like certain things I was doing. It was to me, I was just like, okay, it was too much, like the
mhm.
weights and all of that type of stuff, and I wasn't motivated enough to do it. So he was just like, listen, at the end of the day, I see that your head's not in it and whatever. He goes, dance is a great way for cardio. He told me, he said, you doing dance
Yeah,
is going to keep you fit and all of
yeah.
that. But the thing about it, I was trying to gain weight, so he was trying to show me
Mm.
like what to do and all these type of things. But it was more at that time, it was more a mental thing for me. It was like I went
Yeah,
in there and I kind of seen other girls and their bodies were like, I seen what he did to their bodies, and I was like, bro, like, I'm trying to get there. But it was like the work that they were putting in, my mind wasn't there mentally. And he
yeah,
told me, like, doing when you're exercising, you have to be there mentally, because if you're not
yeah,
there mentally, there's no point of you even doing it.
yeah.
So in that case, how would I, like, I'm really trying to gain weight. So it's
Mhm.
like I don't really eat that much because I'm a very extremely picky person, but I love vegetables. Like, I don't mind, I
Yeah.
can eat veggies all day and fruits
Mhm.
all day. But I know that's not enough. So what would you advise for somebody small like me?
Well, okay. So as you said, it's mental. So the biggest thing, your biggest tool is, we talked about this earlier, is your mind. So if we were like if we, I don't know how personal you feel like getting right now, but if you came to me right now and you're like, okay, like we're doing this estimate, my first question is, okay, why do you want to lose weight? I mean, why do you
Oh,
want to gain weight? Why do you want to gain weight? And not just like, oh, because I want to look a certain way, but like why? But like why? And I'm going to keep digging until we get to the deepest root of like why. And then when we have that why, mentally, normally you should be checked in on your own, right?
Yeah,
Because you should always have that why. And I'll give
and
you an example.
the real
So I
why.
always,
Yeah,
yeah, I always say this to like clients and stuff when they come with me and we start like, I'm just meeting them for the first time. I ask this question, right? And the example that I normally give is like, if I tell you tomorrow, I want you to just run down the road. Tomorrow, wake up at 5 a.m. and run down the road. No reason. Just do it every day. All three of you, none of us are getting up at 4 o'clock and just running down the road because Mike said so. But if I say there's $1,000 at the end of the road, one of these days you're gonna have $1,000 at the end of the road. Now there's a reason,
an
right?
incentive, yeah.
And that's why you need to know your why. You need to know, why am I running down to the end of the road? Because if I don't really know, then why am I doing it? You know what I'm saying? My why was like, I was always really skinny and then I was always fat. And I was like, I just don't really want to do that. Like, and in the middle, I was an athlete. And that's when I felt my best. And my why was like, I just want to feel my best. I always want to be my best. There's only one mic, and I want to present the best mic for the world. They deserve that. If I have kids, they deserve that. My mom deserves that. My sister deserves that. Everybody that's important to me deserves that. So it became a reason outside of myself. I wanted to give my mom, my sister, my family, my girl the best mic ever. And that was my reason. Like, I it wasn't even a choice. You don't have to ask me to go to the gym. I'm going to the gym.
it's just in you now.
It
I
was just
like
in me,
that. I
right?
like that. I like
Right.
that. I
And
like
like
that.
that's when you can do that. Like I found that that was like a huge life lesson, and competing for me was like that, and knowing that like I can, like when I think that like there's no way, because I never thought I was going to be a bodybuilder. I never thought that I was big enough. I never thought that I would be able to step on stage. And then like, just rewinding like 2 years ago, I was almost Mr. Canada. I was third in Canada as a super heavyweight. Never in my wildest dreams, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I could be up there. but I had a why. And your why is always what's going to drive you. So to stay motivated, the very first thing you have to do is really figure out, why do I want to gain weight? Why do I want to gain weight? And then when you figure out that, then you can start playing around with, okay, this workout style doesn't work for me. I have to lift weights, but maybe it means I have to do like some type of circuit training and it has to be slower. Maybe it means like I have to be outside. Maybe it means like
Yeah, I think I need to
whatever.
get
Maybe it means your workouts are shorter, but you work out very often. Maybe it means your workouts are very long, but you work out not as frequent, right? And you just figure out what works for you there. But the motivation to just go and do it is not so much the problem anymore.
All right.
Excellent. How many
All right.
contestants were there? Sorry, how many before you go?
Okay, so that year I think there was 22 in my class. So the super heavyweight class is like, those are the big boys, right?
Mhm.
So up until that year, you normally don't see a lot of that in Canada. There's normally like 6, 5, 7. This year there was 22. There's 22 guys in my class, right? And when I say Canada, like
23 next year.
yeah, so when I say Canada, like you have to, so the way it works is you have to like you have to win a regional show or place at a regional show. Okay, then you go to provincials and you have to win there, and then all of those winners from the different provinces compete at the Canadian Nationals.
That's
Right?
crazy.
So
Okay, so Mike, since you're talking about,
Congrats.
thank you.
since you can you hear me?
Yeah.
Since you're talking about the competitions, right? I got a couple quick questions before we close it off, right? Now, tell me your most important competition that you've been in, and also your most meaningful. Whether you've learned something, whether you got over a challenge.
It's funny. I've learned something from all of them. The first one that I ever did, again, was just like, oh, I could do this. Like I never thought I could even do this. I could do this, and ironically, I won my first one. Somebody just came to me and they're like, oh, you should do this, and I'm like, yeah, I've been thinking about it, but like I always back out. And they were just like, you have to do this. I'm forcing you to do this, and I did it, and I was like, oh, like I did it. The second one taught me humbleness because I didn't do well at that one. And it taught me like resilience, that like to get back up and fight and like go for what you want. Like nothing's going to be handed to you easy. It's never just going to fall into place the first time. That's not, whether you believe in God or the universe or Buddha or whatever, like the path is not always like as clear as you see it, right? It zigzags up, down, around, underneath, and then you arrive if you want it bad enough. The third one was different for me because I was just like, I never thought this would happen. I never thought this would happen. And then the fourth was again just more like resilience again. So like they've all had their meaningful one, but I think placing third in Canada was probably the most meaningful because again, I never to this day
thought you would be there.
I never ever thought like that could be me. I would never. I just didn't picture that.
All right. So let me ask you two more quick questions. Right? These are questions from the viewers. When we're talking about bodybuilding, weightlifting, training, anything like that, everybody I know has either a day that they hate. So whether it's leg day, back day, neck day, arm day. So we want to know, what is the day that you regret? And also the second part is, everybody has a cheat day. So what does what's Mike's worst day, and what does Mike's cheat day look like? Whether it's something you're doing or eating, what's your cheat day and what's your worst day?
Okay. Man, you guys are gonna make me. My clients might be watching this, man. You're gonna make me look real bad. Maybe look real bad. Okay. Well, my day so the way it works in terms of the days that I don't like training. That's what you asked first, right?
Yeah, or like because everybody has. Oh, I hate it's leg day. I hate leg day.
Yeah, so the day that I hate training, like I always hate training the body part that I think looks well or looks best, right? So for a long time, like I had really good legs. I didn't like training my legs because I was like, well, they look how I want them to look. So why am I training them now? Right now, like I find my chest is something that I don't really like training again for the same reason. And then on the flip side, I always start to like training the body part that I don't think looks the best. I
Okay,
start to enjoy training that part.
makes sense.
Yeah. So that I've that's just how it's always been for me. In terms of like cheat, oh man, like I do it all. I do it all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a foodie, man. I like food. I like food. Oh, if I had to name one, I can't name one thing. I can't do it,
So
man.
is it on a cheat day? Are you
What's your
cooking something
kryptonite?
different, or are you going to a restaurant? Are you looking for something sweet?
I
Are
don't
you
like
are you
sweets.
not are you sleeping in that
See?
day?
I don't like sweets. No, I'm not like I've never really liked like chocolate and stuff like that. Like the only sweets that I like cheesecake, and that's probably it. Like I like cheesecake.
So what's your
Um,
kryptonite?
ah,
Every superhero has a kryptonite. So what's yours?
I really like sushi. I really like sushi.
And
It
sushi's
I,
healthy. That's good. This is
yeah,
healthy,
is.
see, and
man.
that's why it's like it's not even really a cheat though, right? It's not even really a
Mm.
cheat though.
Listen,
I like
you know what we'll call it, Mike? We'll call it a treat day, not a cheat
A
day.
a
treat
treat
day. A
Treat
day.
day.
treat
Yeah,
day.
I like that. I
We'll,
like
we'll,
that. I
we'll
like
flip
that.
it
I'm gonna
up.
go
We'll
with
flip
that. I
it up.
don't even have cheat days. I have treat days. You know what
Treat
I'm
days.
saying?
We'll go with that moving
I'm
forward.
good. I'm good.
Well, that's good. You know what I mean? That's even more motivation for the viewers because we don't need cheat days. We just need
We need
treat days
treat
because
days.
when
Yeah.
we're doing things good, we got to reward ourselves, like you said.
Yeah. And just to just like if you don't mind, let me add to that.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
I cheat days is a term maybe we need to like get rid of. You know what I mean? I don't think you're cheating. Again, you're just you live within like the means of what you're trying to create. I like when I give people like a diet, I'll tell them unless you're a competitor, I'm going to tell you straight up. I want you to follow this plan 80 to 90% of the time. The other times, live life. You know what I mean? Have your drink, have your cheesecake, have your cake, have your Timbits, your donuts. Enjoy life, right? Like food is a part of like life, I feel. Like it's something that should be enjoyed too, right? Laugh, love, eat food, love one another. That's just a part of life. So I don't really like the term cheat where like somebody feels bad that they've like done this.
Yeah.
It's just like live within a means. Like this is again, it should be a treat day. Like I'm gonna treat myself to this. And I don't want like it shouldn't be like an emotional attachment that like, okay, if I'm good, I'm gonna have this. Or
I'll
if
have
I
a
feel
treat day.
shit,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have this. But you shouldn't feel like crucified because you decided like I'm gonna have a cinnamon bun today, right?
Yeah.
That's just my take.
No, well, that's a great answer. And I think it's some great advice for the viewers as well.
Oh,
Mike, I want to thank you very much for taking your time to like join us on the episode today. The
for
amount
sure.
of the amount of information and the amount of tips that you provided with the viewers, I personally know people that would have to pay hundreds of dollars for even some of this information. So I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
thank you like from the bottom of our hearts for joining the show.
yeah.
Before we go, please let the viewers know what Muscle Coach Mike has in store. If there's any competitions they have coming up next, if they need some
Yeah.
assistance, how they can contact you.
Hold
Okay,
on, hold
so
on, hold on. Muscle
yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
Before he starts, let me tell you that what you should have did today, what we should have done was put up a before and after picture. No, because it just shows you that it's real. Like as
Yeah.
far as if you have that vision and you put in that work, it's real. So when I say you seen the picture that we put up with him super chiseled, super ripped, as he said, almost 300 pounds. There you go, right there. You see that picture, right? That image right there. What did you weigh? What would you say you weighed in high school, brother?
Oh, high school. Ah, man, like maybe like so I'm 6 foot. like mid to end of high school, I was maybe 180 pounds.
180 to almost 300
180
pounds.
pounds. Yeah,
And you've seen
180
that
pounds.
muscle,
And
muscle,
that, yeah,
muscle.
that
Yeah.
and that looks like 300 pounds of muscle.
So
Yeah.
I'm not that there. I'm not 300. There, I'm probably like 240. That was again. That was like
240.
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So I've put on some muscle since then. But
More?
I've also put on some fat too,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Because
okay.
Mhm.
I'm not competing right now again. So I don't want people to look at that and be like, I'm like that all the time. I try to
Mm-mm.
stay close to that though. I try to stay close to that, just not
All right, my
that
brother.
all the time.
Yeah, man. So let them know. Let them know what you got coming up. What's going on
Yeah.
with you? How can they reach you?
Yeah. So well, my Instagram is Muscle Coach Mike, musclecoach.mike. My website is musclecoaches.com. But for you guys, if anybody is looking for some type of help, I am going to be having a 30-day challenge. You can go to musclecoachchallenges.ca, and you can sign up there, or you can email me at musclecoaches. Sorry, you can email me at musclecoaches at gmail.com, and just give me your information and I can sign you up. The challenge will start in about 2 weeks. It's a 30-day challenge. I'll give you like nutritional advice. You get a ton of free stuff. And this was just basically a way for people to kind of like get to know me, for me to help a ton of people for either free or like at a really, 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 really low buy-in. And then like later on, if you like what you get or if you want more results or whatever, you can contact me. But at least you have this and you know, like you can know the basics, right? You can get the foundational stuff out of the way. Yeah, but thank you guys for having me. This is a great show,
For
man. I
sure.
Thank
appreciate it so
you.
much. This is a lot of fun. I hope I helped you guys helped some people out, and I
Heavy, 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 weight banging, weight banging, weight